Hello, my name is Stephen McAllister, and today we're going to be doing a presentation on storage devices for the enterprise. Let's start with the objectives. First off, file system structures. Linux versus Windows. We're going to discuss similarities and the differences. Next, we're going to move on to business perspective. Is Linux or Windows the better choice for your organization? Next, we're moving on to storage solutions for the enterprise network. And lastly, we're going to end it with a Christian perspective on ethical considerations. On slide number 1, we're going to discuss file system structures, Linux versus Windows. The definition of a file system is anything that enables programs to store and retrieve data on a device. Now let's first talk about Linux. We have a root directory, data storage format, and partitions or logical volumes. Next, on the Windows side, we have storage components, volumes, directories, and files. Now, let's move on to the next slide. Still on the topic of file system structures, Linux versus Windows, let's look at some similarities and some differences. First, similarities. Organize disk-based files into a system of directories. Directories are known as folders. The hierarchy is known as a file system. Now the differences. Windows uses data drives, the C drive, D drive, E drive, and etc., along with folders to store data. Linux uses a tree structure, so it starts with the root directory and it keeps all the files organized within that root directory. When discussing business perspective, let's start with Linux. First off, it's free, so that's a no-brainer. It's going to be a little more difficult to use because we're going to be utilizing the command line prompts more than likely. The size of the company really could be a small company, large company, any company can adapt to a Linux system. And programs are kind of limited because IT needs to ensure that if they're going to be utilizing Windows programs in the Linux environment, that they communicate with one another. On the Windows side, budget. Depends on which version and how many licenses is how much you're going to be paying for that version of Windows. The ease of use is extremely easy because Windows utilizes a GUI system, a graphical user interface. Again, with the size of the company, it could be small, large, doesn't matter. And programs, any program will run on Windows. So that, again, is a no-choice winner. Next, we're going to discuss Linux storage solutions. So for the two that I chose, we have Pidio and Ceph. Pidio is a file hosting, sharing, and syncing site launched in 2009. It is written in PHP and JavaScript, runs off a web-based server, and is gaining quite a bit of popularity with many corporations today. Ceph was created by Sage Well in 2007. It was written in C++ and Perl, very reliable, and it is really geared towards large corporations. Shifting gears to the Windows storage solutions, the two that I chose were the Cloud and the NAS. Now, with regarding the Cloud, it allows access anywhere a connection can be made. Multiple copies can be saved, which is great for backups. It's very cost effective. And again, it's great as a backup solution because you can have it stored in many different clouds. The NAS, or Network Attached Storage, is great because if a network connection is there, data can be accessed anywhere in the world. It's ideal for large corporations, but it is somewhat kind of pricey due to the equipment needed and possible failure of said equipment. Lastly, let's discuss Christian perspective. Let's discuss ethics and the cost. So the cost is going to be given by the CIO, CEO, and they're going to want it kept within a certain budget. Now it's up to you ethically to not go out and blow the budget. Look at what you need versus what you want and do due diligence and do research. The quote that I got was from Psalm 25:21, and it is, "May integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait for you." To summarize what we just went over, we talked about the file system structures, Linux versus Windows, and I discussed the similarities and differences. I discussed the business perspective on Linux and Windows. I discussed two different versions of storage solutions for Windows, and Linux respectively, and I discussed ethic considerations with a Christian perspective. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for watching this presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, and have a great day.